Okay, we're Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another week of the Recon Angling Live Show. Glad to have you out here. It is Wednesday, April 7th. The weather is getting warmer outside. Baseball's in full swing, and fishing is pretty good. If you haven't, go ahead and like and share the Recon Angling live stream page. Go to our YouTube and subscribe. Literally just got home about 15 minutes ago from the lake. Had a good day guiding. Biggest fish today was 32 pounds. So congratulations, Brett Jones was out with me today. We caught some nice fish. Had a blast out there. But tonight we got Ben Linell on the show, and Ben is going to be talking about reel maintenance. So something I often overlook myself, and I think a lot of us do. We punish our reels and then get pissed when stuff doesn't work right. So Ben's going to go over some stuff to kind of ease that trouble for you guys, some simple stuff you can do. He also has a reel cleaning service that he provides. He can get that stuff cleaned from you. What's going on, Travis, Mark, and Sarah? What's going on? So we're going to bring Ben on. Let's see if here we go. So welcome, Ben, and thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're going to talk real stuff. And so what's going on, Clarence? So Travis is, if you guys, why don't you do a shout out where you guys are viewing from? We'll do some shout outs real quick. If you want to tell us where you're coming from, where you're watching, what you're doing. Also, guys, there's a post promoting this show. If you guys like and share that post, you could be entered in to win a free reel cleaning service from Ben. So we'll just kind of let the comments roll in, but while they do that, Ben will just let you kind of get started on some stuff. Sarah's tuning in from Wisconsin, Todd from Layton, Utah, and Ben, you're in Laramie right now?
Yep.
Good old Laramie, Wyoming, and we're live from Rock Springs, Wyoming. So
right as you can't hear the wind.
Yeah. So I could probably just get a kite and fly over to where you're at.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mike's tuning in from Wisconsin, Chris Jackson from Iowa. So we got a bunch of people from all over the place. But we'll dive right in here, and Ben, I'll just kind of let you take over, and we'll, as questions come in, I'll just kind of interject real quick.
Okay. So as Shane said, I do a reel cleaning service. What I do is I will take these reels and I strip them down completely bare. Every screw, every nut is touched. Take them completely apart, clean every single part. I flush bearings, so I get better casting distance, that kind of stuff. If somebody wants a reel super tuned, which basically means so it's super smooth, super fast. This is one of my personal reels that I've done. It is super fast, super smooth. This reel actually isn't even on a rod right now because I don't have enough rods.
So real quick, what would be a I guess a perk of having a real super tune, like that? What's the reason behind it for those of us out here that don't know?
You get a lot better performance out of them, and you can really only super tune casting reels, spinning reels. I mean, the way they function is completely different, so you can't really super tune those. Um, but one of the biggest things of super tuning is changing out the bearings. Stock bearings are stainless steel ball bearings, and aftermarket companies make ceramic bearings, and those are just way faster and lighter. They have a lighter startup inertia, and they just spin for longer amounts of time. And your spool sits on those bearings, so they will cast a night and day difference after
Okay.
super tuning. And then um, your reels generally will be a lot smoother because when you go in and polish, all of the gears and everything, it gets rid of any minor imperfections that can make it not smooth and noisy. Um, so that's
Okay.
what it is.
Perfect. So I think you kind of answered this, but Mike wants to know if it's worth, doing a $60 spinning reel. I'm not sure if he's talking about tuning it or maybe cleaning a $60 spinning reel. I mean, I would imagine cleaning a $60 spinning reel. I mean, that's still $60. Oh, he
Yeah.
says anti-reverse
Um,
went out.
okay, that's usually a pretty easy and cheap fix. Um, yeah, I think that would definitely be worth it. I've still got, I've got reels cheaper than that. Some of my first ever reels that I still have, and they're still functioning like they're brand new because I've taken care of them.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing a lot of people overlook is, you can get some pretty good deals, on some sub $100 reels that last, quite a bit. The new at the new Abu Black Maxes that are out that are redesigned, and some of the Black Maxes are pretty good for the price. And then Daiwa, the Revros, I believe, was like a $50 reel that I used to use and abuse. I don't know if you have um, you know any similar experience with anything sub $100 that's kind of taking you by surprise.
Oh man, I mean definitely the whole Max series from Abu. Those are, a lot of people envision them as a beginner's reel or budget reel, but they can be really great reels. I actually have one right here. One of my old Black Maxes. Um, I just don't use it much anymore because I've replaced it with reels that cost,
A lot of money.
yeah. And I mean, just changing the bearings, that's really all I've done to this. It casts really well. This used to be my uh, square bill crankbait reel.
And,
So
and I actually have a few of those that I use just for, Laker trips. And, for the price, those, they're not really meant for big fish like that, but they hold up pretty good, and they take some pretty good abuse for a lower end rod or
yeah, they
reel. Sorry.
definitely do.
So,
I suppose I can.
so Ethan says what's up to both of us.
How's
And
it
then a
going, Ethan?
shout out to Juan. So I served with Juan. He was my sergeant back in the day. He's down in Abilene, Texas. But yeah, what are we getting into now?
I was gonna show a little demonstration with bearings. So even without upgrading bearings, this is something you can do with your stock bearings, and it will greatly improve your casting performance.
So like
Um,
this would be like bearing tuning.
yeah, pretty much. So from the factory, bearings come packed with grease, so they don't spin very fast. Manufacturers grease them so they, when you go to the store and you're trying out reels, um, this makes it so it's a lot smoother, a lot quieter. So you think, oh, this reel is so smooth that I'm going to buy it. But it's not. It's not meeting its full casting potential. Um, so what I'm going to do is on the side plate, there's a little ring or a little retainer spring that holds that on. You want to take that off very carefully because if you don't, it will fly across the room and you will never see it again.
Or fly around on the desk.
Yeah. So there's that little retainer spring. And this right here is a bearing puller tool that a friend of mine made. He has a whole company and he makes tools for servicing reels. So if I put this on there and try and spin it, it will not spin on its own. So what I do to flush my bearings is I just get an old water bottle like this, and then I spray some CRC brake clean in it. So all you gotta do is drop your bearing in there, and you can shake it up a little bit. The best method, I was gonna bring my electric shaver in here, but I forgot, is you can get a bottle like this or a Tupperware dish, and you can get an electric razor and hold it up to the edge, and it turns it into like a little ghetto mini sonic cleaner. It makes all that vibration and it forces the liquid to go through the bearing. It makes sure it's super clean. All right, so just after that little bit, this bearing should spin a lot better, and you'll be able to hear it. Before it didn't spin at all. Now it's spinning a lot better. So that's something you can do. It only takes a few minutes to do. And it'll make your reels cast a lot better. You also want, if you're doing this with your stock bearings, what you want to do is add a drop of oil, because stock bearings are stainless steel bearings, so it's metal on metal rubbing in there, so you need some kind of lubrication. But if it's an aftermarket ceramic bearing, they don't need lubrication. See if I can get this spring back in there. There we go. And then this is how it is on an Abu. There's 3 bearings on the spool. One goes on this end, which is under the tension knob. And there's the one in the end cap and one that rides on the spool.
So to get to that real quick, you just take that end cap off and that spool just comes out, right?
Yes. Yeah, like here's this one. Just flip that switch. Side plate comes off. Spool comes out.
Perfect.
So super easy. So with these, there's a little pin on there that keeps that bearing from coming off, and that can be a challenge, especially if you don't do it right, because this pin is tapered, so one end is thinner than the other, so it only goes in one way. If you put it in the wrong way, you're going to need another spool pin and possibly a new spool. So with that in mind, I keep a whole pack of spare spool pins and also a whole pack of those retainer clips.
And where would be a good place, if someone's watching this and wants to take a crack at it, is there a good place they can go to find this?
Like
So
a demonstration on how to do it?
Well, no, just where if they can find those extra pieces and parts.
Oh,
Is
okay.
there, yeah.
Yeah, so if when you get a reel,
And then also real quick, Ethan wants to know if you can do that without those special tools, like if you can use pliers and stuff like that.
yeah, so with the spool pin, I have a special tool that my friend made. It's like a little puncher. It's got this pin on it, and it punches that pin out. Before I had that, I used channel locks, because the jaws are kind of offset, so you can push this pin up with one end of the channel locks, and that's what a lot of guys do. I used to do all of this with just the basic Abu cleaning kit. It comes with a screwdriver, wrench, grease, oil, degreaser, little towel, all that stuff, and that's really all you need. So to get parts, what you want to do is when you get a reel, in the box will be the schematics. It's an exploded view of all of the parts, and what you want to do is you find that part, and there will be a number. So then what you do is you just go to Google and type in, Abu Garcia and then that part number, and there will be several websites of guys that sell aftermarket parts, and you can buy them from there. Parts like these are super cheap. Like, I want to say 50 cents a piece for those retainer clips. So it's not bad. But yeah, definitely save your schematics. Don't throw those away. I have a whole folder of all of my schematics for every reel I own, which can save you a lot of headache if you're taking a reel apart and something falls off and you don't remember where it went. You can just go back to the schematics and it shows exactly where it goes.
Yeah, and I would say that's kind of a big thing that a lot of us, when we get reels and stuff, we just kind of toss that with the packaging. So, that's a good tip to, for you guys to keep in mind, to hold on to that stuff. If you have multiples, it's always good. You don't need all of that, but to keep at least one, so if you do run into a problem like this, you can easily fix it.
Anti-reverse not working in cold weather. That is a good question.
Sounds like a grease issue, possibly.
Yeah. So, I wish I had one here. So your anti-reverse is technically a bearing. It's just a one-way bearing. On casting reels, it sits right here. Spinning reels, it's more down in the rotor. And they are meant to be completely dry. So if eventually, there's all of the grease and oils inside of your reels, eventually that is going to make its way into that anti-reverse bearing, and it will make it slip. So the solution to that is to take that bearing out and clean it. But unfortunately, with casting reels nowadays, that bearing is stamped in, so you can't really take it out and reuse it. You kind of have to break it to take it out. But spinning reels, you can. Spinning reels, you can take it out. And that's another thing. I'll just put it in some brake cleaner for a little bit. With casting reels, what I do is I'll take this side plate off and get a Q-tip, and then I will dip it in my brake cleaner and just run it around back and forth inside that bearing, and it cleans all of that grease out, or at least enough of the grease out to where it will not slip anymore. And if that doesn't work, you can always buy a new anti-reverse bearing. They're not very expensive.
Perfect. Don't see any other comments coming in yet. So, let's go into the basics of maintaining and cleaning your spinning reels. Essentially when a lot of people like to do spring or fall, and maybe once halfway through the season if you're really into that. But I think a lot of people kind of look over stuff before they put it away, or if they use the same reels for ice fishing as open water. But let's before we get into that, let's just start with hey, it's spring, I'm getting out my reels. What are some big things that you notice when people send you in reels to clean? Like, what's one thing that sticks out to you of like, holy cow, this is bad, or I can't believe they did this or that?
Oh, the thing the thing that surprises me is some of the stuff that on spinning reels, some of the stuff that is in the gearbox. Like it blows my mind how what gets in there. I was doing one of mine, and there were pieces of grass inside of there. Um, I have no idea how that gets in there. If you have a Shimano, at least with a Stratic, they have everything sealed with rubber seals. I'm assuming for salt water. That'll keep a lot of that out. But usually with spinning reels, most of what's dirty is on the exterior. Sometimes there'll be something inside, but the gears and everything will usually be pretty clean.
Now, I guess you want to just walk us through, like, let's just say that spinning reel right there, you received it. What's the kind of process of, inspecting that reel if someone sent it to cleaning it on a spinning reel, and then we can go. We kind of went over bait casters a little bit. Let's go over the
Yeah.
spinning reel.
I'm gonna leave that one out.
Okay.
The MGX, because it's a little more complicated.
Yeah, it's a higher end reel.
Yeah, and I haven't even torn it down yet, so it would
Okay.
be my first time doing that. So first thing you want to
Well,
do,
what's a better time than doing it live?
yeah.
Come on. live,
Um,
live on the edge, man.
well, first thing you want to do is take your cap off of that, and you can pull a spool off. one thing you can do with the spool is this one, it's on the bottom, has one of those retainer springs, and that holds the drag stack. The drag stack is just a bunch of washers stacked on top of each other. There'll be a metal washer and then a carbon fiber or felt washer. Something you want to do fairly often is take all of those out and clean them, because as fish pull on your drag, it wears on those washers, and it can leave fragments of the washer all in there, and it can make your drag not what it should be. And then on top of that is these metal washers. One thing you can do to make your drag smoother is you can polish those. And I have right here, this is a little sanding pad that you can use. This is a 5000 grit. It's made by 3M. It's called Trizact. All you got to do is take those washers and just give it a light sanding, and it makes it much more much smoother, and you can have a smoother drag. Yeah, definitely will collect sand. I had one of my friends send me one of his reels the other day, and I should have charged him double with how dirty that thing was. So then we get to this point, and what you want to do is take the stack off, just a couple washers, and then there's a bushing. So you take those off. Sometimes they can not want to come off. And then when I take parts off, I lay them out in the order that they would go on the reel. So I always put them back on in the right order. So then all we have is the bare rotor. You can see there's one screw there, which takes off this retaining washer, and then the nut. So when you take that off, and then the whole rotor will come off, and then you're getting into the guts of it. And from there, for basic maintenance, all you need to really do is put some grease in there. I know some reels, you can just take this bottom piece off, and you can reach all of the gears. So all you really need to do there is get some grease and put it in there and make sure it's got fresh grease.
What kind of grease would you recommend?
I was just about to.
Perfect.
I used to use just the grease that came in the Abu kit. I ran out of that, and I have a friend that's, I don't know, a lot of people consider him one of the best reel servicers there is, and he recommended this one. It's just Super Lube, multi-purpose. I've got pretty much a lifetime supply now. That works pretty well. Another one I use is this from Spool Speed. It's a fluidine grease. That's a favorite of mine lately. Spool Speed makes aftermarket bearings, ceramic bearings. I have them in basically all of my reels. So I have not had to replace a drag washer. There are companies out there that make kits to upgrade your drag stack. Most spinning reels have felt washers, and those can wear pretty easily, and they're not the strongest, as far as drag goes. And they make carbon fiber washers that you can swap out with. And you can, again, with the schematics, you can go back, and it should have all of the drag washers on there. If you need to replace one, you can just look up that part number.
And another question I was going to talk to you had the grease out was, you know, a lot of times, guys will let summer grease, in there in the winter, and vice versa, and especially when it gets super cold out. You'll notice that your reel is not working when you have that summer grease in there. And I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Fluger try-ons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Fluger try-ons, well, and many other reels. That's the only one I've really had this experience with. They have, this grease in them that's meant for warmer weather, and when it gets in cold temperatures, that grease really thickens up. So I actually recently, this last winter, took apart my try-ons, completely cleaned everything, and put this grease in them, and they work fine now. They work like a summer reel in the winter. And then,
looks like your brother Kurt has a pretty serious question here for you.
yeah,
He wants to know how to clean the ever mighty Zebco.
I don't do Zebcos.
That's beneath your level there.
Yeah, just buy a new one.
Just buy a new one. Go pay an extra $10 and get an Abu Max.
Yeah, exactly. Abumatic or whatever it's called.
Well, sweet. What is there? Well, I guess we'll open it up. If you guys have any questions out there for Ben or for me about anything fishing related, now's a good time to kind of get those in. We're right at the half-hour mark, so it's a good time for you guys to get some questions in here for us, and then we'll kind of go over that. And I don't know, was there some other stuff you wanted to discuss about reel maintenance, Ben, or?
I can talk a little bit about customizing them.
Okay. Well, real quick before we get into that, Jeff wants to know if there's any experience with Real Magic product. He says it's a spray lubricant that you can use any time of the year, supposedly safe while line is on the spool. I don't know if I'd be. You okay over there?
Yeah. My lamp fell.
Oh, I thought maybe that question, you heard spray lubricant and.
I've used Real Magic a little bit. Not recently. I just use my greases and oils on the inside. I don't really see a need to spray much on the outside. One mistake people make is they over lubricate their reels. There's just oil and grease coming out everywhere, and that's not good. That can screw things up, and also that's more places for dirt to stick to.
Yeah, that's a big thing you'll see is if you put too much grease on anything, everything sticks to it.
Yep.
So looks like we got another question. Michael Crisp says he's got 2 Stratic reels, no problem. They're not the saltwater version. Do they still have the seals the same as saltwater ones?
I'm not sure if they have the same seals, but they should definitely have seals. They're very well sealed. Basically, everything for the gearbox is sealed, which keeps things out and keeps things from getting corroded.
Perfect. Well, let's
Another thing with casting reels, at least Abu, they have this right here. This is a lube port. So all you have to do is take this screw out, and this little door comes off, and right there are your main gears. So all you got to do is put a little grease in there and put the cap back on. You're good to go. And something I have recently discovered with Shimano that I do not like. This is a Corrado DC. This is my own personal reel. You can see maybe they have these little holes here. And if you have one of these, you can look inside those holes and you can see straight to your gears. So these holes can allow dirt, sand, anything to get inside of your reel. That's something I really do not like. And I was cleaning my friend's Corrado DC not too long ago, and the inside of it looked as bad as the outside. It was just covered in sand. All of the gears were covered in sand. When I cleaned the gears off and looked at the gears, you could tell that sand had worn away at those gears. And when that happens, it's not going to be as smooth as it once was.
And you wanted to talk a little bit about kind of super tuning, right? Is that a fair phrase to say? Or just or what? Or just tuning in general?
Well, like I said, the main thing with tuning is going to be your bearings. That's where most of your casting performance comes from. Some reels are starting to come with ceramic bearings from the factory. This is a Revo Mg Xtreme 2. If you can afford it, I highly recommend this reel. This is the only.
How much is that?
These retail for $500.
Yeah.
$4.99. These are actually the lightest bait caster ever made. They're only 4.5 ounces.
Yeah, that thing is. I remember holding that thing, and
yeah,
to put that, into perspective. That's pretty much. I don't know, like holding 2 quarters.
yeah. That's the only reel to ever leave me speechless. When I first time casting that, it was unreal. I put that on my rod and tied on an 1/8 ounce jig with a 2.8 Kitech, and that thing flung it faster or farther than any of my spinning reels could throw it. No thumb, no brakes, no backlash at all. So, and then another one that Abu has come out with that has those is the Revo Exd. The EXD stands for extra distance. This one is a bit cheaper than that one. I haven't had a ton of time with this one, but I used it last week throwing cranks, and it was amazing. I used to, this DC used to be my crankbait reel because these cast light baits really, really well. And I found that my Abus, after super tuning them, cast way better than that DC. Plus, they have almost twice the drag capacity, and they're about 2 ounces lighter. So that can make a difference after fishing all day. All that weight adds up. If you're going to get bearings, I recommend Spool Speed bearings. If you go to their website, they have kits for every reel, every reel you can imagine. They have the big three: Shimano, Daiwa, Abu. Then they have Luz, Cast King, 13. All of those smaller companies. So you can get bearings from them. They also have really good lubes for bearings. They also have really good tools. Let's see. They has these tweezers. These are just for taking the retainer clips off of these. I recommend those. If you really want to go all out on super tuning, what you're going to need is a Dremel, and you'll take everything apart, clean everything, and you'll get your main gear, your pinion gear. Those are the main two things that drive the reel and the spool. And if you get those and a Dremel and a you can get these horsehair polishing bits. Get those and then some polish. And then just go over all of the teeth of the gears and everything until the black, it'll create a black residue, and you just keep polishing until that's gone, and everything will be a mirror finish, and that makes everything super smooth. That's really all that goes into super tuning. Actually, no, it isn't. Another thing you can do, does make a huge difference. You can polish the ends of your spool. That just makes it a little smoother, which will result in less friction when you're casting and more casting distance. I guess I can talk a little bit about customizing. So this is my Revo Beast. This is what I use for my heavy swim baits. And you can probably notice this is not a stock handle. This is a Gamexis TPE power handle. They come in all kinds of different knob colors. So if you want to, get something that stands out or matches your reel, you can get these handles with different colored knobs, all that kind of stuff. And they also sell just the knobs. So this is a Revo SX, and this is the stock handle, but I just ordered the knobs, and they go right on, and they come with the whole kit for making them fit. They come with all kinds of washers. They come with bearings in them, so they spin really well. That's something I love about Abu reels, is the knobs come with bearings in them, so those can spin forever. And that not really important, but to me, it's pretty cool. Other companies use bushings. I like to see more quality, more quality parts like bearings instead of plastic bushings. Like this Corrado DC, it retails for $250, and I think it has 4 bearings in the whole reel. It has a plastic worm gear, plastic bushings, plastic everywhere. And Gomexus also makes this new knob that just came out. I have it on my spinning reel. They come in all kinds of colors. There are a couple companies that make reproduction parts for all kinds of reels. They make tension knobs. They make worm gear housings. They make the nut on the handle, and they make them in all. Oh yeah, and they make the drag stack or drag star. They make them in all kinds of different colors, so you can pimp out your reel however you want, and it's super easy to do.
Yeah, just a little something to kind of, make a basic reel your own, or, it could even be a good way for those of
Yeah.
you out there looking for gift ideas, coming up. It's a convenient way, to just kind of change it up and make that reel your own.
Yeah, and it'll stand out from everybody else that isn't doing that.
Well, sweet, man. I think that's pretty much it for tonight's show. We're right at 47 minutes here, so we're approaching the hour mark. So, once again, guys, those of you guys who are still watching, go ahead on the Recon Angling page, look for the post promoting this live show, and like and share that to be entered to win a free reel cleaning. I don't know why I have such a hard time saying those two words next to each other. From Ben, we'll get your information over to him. But real quick before we close out, Ben, those of you, if someone's looking to maybe send you a reel, what's the process and what's the price on that?
So if you need anything done, or if you have just any questions about your reel that you're wondering if you want to do something on your own, just shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm happy to help. If you do want to send me a reel, I usually charge $20 plus return shipping, which is pretty cheap for what it is. A lot of guys charge double that, and I usually do a little bit more than they do. Like I said, I take everything apart. I even do the knobs on the handle, and I use some of the best lubricants on the market. And your reel, if you have a casting reel or spinning reel, it will perform better when I'm done with it.
Yeah, and to give you guys some ideas, if you look in the top right corner of the live stream, you can kind of see up here, a little bit there, kind of a before and after. If I can be smart here, I can figure out how to kind of make that into a bigger one, maybe. I don't think I can. But you guys can kind of see it on there, and then that picture is also on the post to like and share. So it's a night and day difference. It just anytime you buy fishing gear, it's an investment into your passion. It's an investment into when you get that big fish on, having that confidence, knowing that your stuff isn't going to seize up, that drag's going to be super smooth. It reduces the risk of you snapping that line on that potential trophy fish that you're bringing in. So all the stuff that Ben talked about tonight are little things that you can do to just kind of increase your chances, when you get that big fish on, fewer things going wrong, having a smoother experience, not having those moments where, oh man, my drag seized up and my line snapped, or a number of different things that can happen. It also increases your performance, casting, stuff like that. So as Ben said, it's $20. Get a hold of him on Facebook, Ben Linell. But once again, Ben, thanks again for joining us tonight, and everybody out there that joined us tonight. We hope you're having a fun and safe weekend. We hope, or not weekend, it's only Wednesday. Week, sorry, and hope you had a fun Easter weekend this past weekend. That's where I was getting at. Until next time, you guys stay safe, tight lines, and then thanks again for Ben for coming on the show and talking about reel cleaning. So until next time, take care.